and didn't think of it.
Yeah. Well, and the last time we tried the record button, for some reason, I'm not getting the permissions. So it's Zoom's supposed to send me a permission, and I just click yes, go ahead and record, and it shows up on your computer,
It
which
shows
is
recording on my screen now.
yeah, because I set the recording for like I did last time for the cloud, and then I'll send you a link. So if you want to keep that last one, you need to download it.
I
Otherwise,
think I did already.
okay, perfect. All right, because it will go away. Um, okay, so you're going to follow up regular follow-up calls. I just want to get it on the recording. Regular follow-up calls at the beginning of September to the principals, seeing if they got the letter. If they didn't get the letter, say, well, expect the letter. It's an invitation to a principals-only mastermind. This is to help you be with your peers, to manage the stress of being the principal, and to ensure that you're not one of the, and I can't remember your statistics, but they were fantastic statistics. And if you can use them, that's good. I was just looking at them.
There's something like 18% said they weren't stressed.
Yeah. Okay. So then, you don't want to be one of the 78% of the principals that are stressed. One of the 26% or whatever the number is that ends up losing their marriage over it. One of the 43% or whatever the number is that ends up having to take a sick leave of 6 months or longer with a long-term disability that costs them money, time, whatever else it costs them. It also costs them their credibility, right? So as a principal, you tend to be the type of person that wants to be seen as credible and competent, and you're losing that credibility when you go on a sick leave because of stress or whatever else that might be. So just play on the side of the challenges that are biggest in their industry and for them. I'm just offering this free 90-minute mastermind trial, and I'm taking, how many are you going to take for that call? 6?
5.
5. I'm only letting 5 in. I've got one running on the 12th, and if they say, oh, the 12th too soon, fine. I got one running on the 18th. Come to that one then. Just assume that they want to come to one of the two. And I say, oh, okay, I can do the 8. How long is it? It's 90 minutes, the middle of your day. You're gonna close the door. You're gonna actually take. I can't take the time, and that's the reason why you're stressed. Yeah, that's the reason why you're stressed, and that's the reason why you need to be there. This is what we're working through. If you can't find the time to take 90 minutes in the middle of your day, then you can't find the time to actually be healthy in your business, in your career, right? So that's where you're playing on what it is that's their challenge. That is their challenge, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that they don't know how to shut down, that they don't know how to let it go. In the summer they do, and in September they're going to be less stressed. So they might say, well, I'm not stressed. And he said, do you remember June? Do you remember how you felt in June? How long did it take you to de-stress when you get into the summer? How would you like, and if they say 3 weeks, how did you feel 3 weeks into the summer? Well, I wasn't worrying about anything. I didn't have to be anywhere. And how would you like to have that feeling almost all the time while you're working through your career? I mean, in December and in February and in March and in June, how would you like to leave for your summer, feeling like you have control over the year? Well, that would be really cool. How does that work? Well, come to the free mastermind, and we'll talk about what it means to be around peers, solving your challenges, answering your questions, and finding ways to get through the stress. Because I've been doing this for years with teachers, with principals, with first responders, with a variety of different people of high stress jobs to help them become more functional in their job. Am I speaking in your language?
Sort of. I think perhaps the experience level is a little lower than that is.
What do you mean?
Well, it's been more with project managers and healthcare workers, not at the high end first responders. And
got it. I just couldn't remember exactly who it was, but you just say the people that are and they are high end. I mean, it's a different stress level, and it's no less significant to them, right? They can still end up with PTSD. To me, that's a high end stress, right? So yeah, mention the people that you are actually working with. Mention the levels of the percentages of people that end up on short-term and long-term disability. Mention the cost that it is. I mean, sure, you're still getting paid, but it's not the same amount as getting paid when you work. Does that affect you? Does that affect your retirement? Does that affect your summers? Does that affect, like, how does that affect you? Not you personally, but your people, right?
No, I understand.
Got it. All right. So I would continue having that conversation with them in the beginning of September. Does that feel like a good process for you then?
I think so.
Okay.
I think one of the very big differences that's come out of this whole process is I'm going to have that single focus. Is the notion is everything is to work towards that mastermind, whether it be speaking or in the past, it was always trying to sell group coaching packages. And I think in part is I wasn't as big a believer in those as I could be. The mastermind, I believe, is necessary. I believe works, which has put a whole new light on things there. So it will be easier for me to sell. And I think from our first session, filling out some of that stuff, I realized that I do need a marketing plan from now to the end of the next school year.
Yep.
I think my whole business model is changing. And I think even my wants and desires have changed. I think I want to work a lot less than I have been, but more effectively. And I think my revenue targets are changing significantly right now too. Is get caught up in a whole lot of things, and if I were to get 50,000 out of the year out of this, that would be wonderful. If it brought me to the work level I want, instead of busting my tail hoping to make a whole lot more and actually making a whole lot less.
Yeah.
This has been almost a zero income year from the business.
Okay.
And I mean, the household income is still over 100K. So sometimes that can be good as a backup. Sometimes it can be a demotivator for doing things. And the notion was I need to make that at least as much in the business to continue. That's kind of flipped over this summer as I get back into doing some of the more recreational things, as to wondering what the hell I'm doing at this stage of my life, working that kind of. Unfortunately, I have a phrase, take my advice, I'm not using it, that applies far too often. So I need to settle back on that and put back lower targets for expectations while planning to do less but higher quality work, if any of that makes sense.
It does. And I think what you'll find, Bill, is that when you are doing, when you have your process in place, when you know how to roll it out, what the marketing looks like, how to communicate with the people, particularly once you start getting people into the mastermind, you can start talking about the actual clients, what they've gone through, what they're receiving, how they are benefiting from being there. Your confidence level changes on it. And if you had to work more on that mastermind, you'll probably be driven or more excited about it, or more, it'll be like playing as opposed to being work, right? And that'll be the difference. It's that you're not straining to do the things that don't feel really comfortable. There's always going to be things that aren't fun in your business because it's a business and it's just you, right? But the more you get to play in your business, the easier it'll be, and the less it'll feel like it's overwhelming.
Yeah, I've always loved when I'm speaking or coaching. It's getting those jobs I haven't liked so much, and unfortunately, that's always the larger part. And I think this year, going and doing my first free speech in a long time kind of made me feel I was going backwards, until I realized, no, it's fine. enjoyed it. I just blew the sales part of it completely. That I have to fix.
Yeah.
I know where I blew it. So
Yeah.
So if I move forward and speak for free, filling masterminds, I'm quite content doing that, which is also a huge shift because I got my first paid speech back in 2010, and I figured after that, well, I don't do the free ones. I don't need to do the free ones anymore. Well,
It depends on what your goal is for. I mean, if you want to be a paid speaker and that's how you plan on making your money, then looking for paid speaking is what your marketing is, and then you have different marketing process to get paid speaking.
yeah,
But if you're focused, if you're focused on mastermind, then don't worry about not getting paid for speaking, because now what it is an investment in your marketing, and it costs less than actually taking out an ad in a magazine.
yeah, that's been a good mind shift for me. Unfortunately, the first one wasn't a good one to do that because one, I didn't do the sales well, and two, it got expensive because it was in Saskatoon.
Oh yeah, you kind of, well, if you're going to go places, you have
And
to
I
have something else. Yeah.
shipped a bunch of books out and stuff too. So, it turned
Well,
out to be an expensive non-event for me, but other than education,
expensive learning
yeah,
investment. Yeah.
also so other than the education, I mean,
Yes.
I was
Yeah.
almost apologetic with offering something during a speech, which
Oh, that's
as
yeah.
opposed to saying, "Look, this could benefit you, and I'm here to help you with it."
Yeah.
And it's
Okay.
not like I haven't been trained on how to do that. I just didn't do it.
Do you have any speaking engagements coming up?
Not until November.
Okay, where are you speaking in November?
It's in Toronto, so it's within a drive, and it's for school counselors.
Oh, okay. Are you willing to do mastermind groups for school counselors?
Absolutely. When it comes to mastermind, the skills in leading it are totally transferable.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
The difficulty would be finding the credibility in a totally new market, but I mean, this is education.
Yeah.
It's still, they're seeing the same issues, just a few different ones.
Yeah, and they'll find their own. They'll find their own questions. You'll still be able to lead them. And that's like people going, "Well, you don't know my business. My business is so different than everybody else's. You can't possibly help me." And you know what? The fundamentals of business are the same across the board. And yes, there's going to be things I don't understand specifically about your business, but that's why you're the expert. I mean, if I was going to be the expert in your business, then I might be doing something different, right? So it's the same for you. You know the education system, so don't worry about, you know how people interact in it. You know how they belong or where they belong or what the hierarchy is and how people are treated. And I think you'll be able to help everybody at that level. I think it's a great idea to have the masterminds, maybe teachers masterminds, and if they're interested, why not offer them?
Yeah, I've locked up the domains on them. Now it's just a matter of getting out to them next.
Yeah.
And my thought there is maybe going back to the boards and present what the savings to them can be.
Mm-hmm.
I think I mentioned to you at one time, just one of our local boards is $15 million in sick leave, covering sick time.
Yes.
And most of that is stress.
Yes. Yeah. So if you can, show that there's going to be a reduction or potentially a reduction, then I think that's valuable. I think and it'll seem valuable to them as well. It may also be the insurance companies who are paying out. They're the ones who are more driven because they have to keep paying out, and it increase their costs, right? So,
yeah.
Okay, insurance. Okay.
I've been trying to get in touch with one of the employee assistant plan group, but they don't seem to respond to email or answering voicemails. So, because both times that I was off, I found that there was a lot of resources available to me through them.
Yes.
And those resources don't come free. So if they can save some, I'm sure they will. I also thought of going back to my project managers group, so I contacted a colleague here in Ottawa last week. He speaks only to project managers, uh, but for some reason he has never kept a list.
Hmm.
He's willing to provide me with contact names to those who brought him in for speaking, but doesn't seem to have a list of those in the audience, which I found strange. Mine's bad, but it's better than non-existent, I guess.
Hmm. Yeah, and I'm just trying to think. So the insurance, you may go right to the insurance company directly. So who's the main insurance company for the that union?
Seems to be a mix of Sun Life and Great Western Life.
And Great West Life, and not Manulife at all.
I'm not sure about them. I think one of the boards here may be Manulife.
Okay.
Once I found Great Western was involved in some of these, I started to look more at their stuff because they have phenomenal resources, including courses that you can use with teachers in stress reduction. They seem to be far more overtly trying to reduce the costs that way by being proactive. So,
okay, yeah. So, and you have already, when you said you tried to contact them, you actually went directly to Great Life. Then is that?
well, through not them, it was the employee assistance programs.
Okay.
And I've tried leaving voicemails. I've tried leaving emails. No response. I don't know if direct mail would get past the gatekeepers or not. Probably not.
And I don't even know if I'd call them gatekeepers. They're more like people who are there to help teachers or help the clients, right? And they don't even know how to answer that. They don't have the questions to go up them. Like that's not where their managers are trained to help with. So you may have to find someone else that has a different way into the insurance company. I'll keep an ear out. I don't know. I might know someone. I wonder if Larry.
I also have a colleague here who we used to mastermind together, but we slowly dropped down to just two of us that we contact one another periodically. She's been doing training teachers to be coaches for the Quebec boards. And unfortunately, we seem to be on alternating vacation schedules. But if she could get me in through that direction, because she's been doing a lot of work with the Eastern Quebec English-speaking board.
Okay.
They are one of the most stressed boards in the country, so it would be nice to work in through with her.
Yeah.
We've talked about doing some collaborative efforts, but I haven't asked her about direct promotion yet.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, what's her name?
Maria Snowden Weingarten. I think she was actually there the day you spoke here in Ottawa.
Yes. Yep. I recognize the name.
She's on our local board now. I think as membership.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So I think that connecting with her would be a good idea. So some of the things that I'm picking up for you then is that really finish off the process that you've got for September. Make the connections with Maria and see if there's a way you can get into the insurance companies other than through the employee assistance. And then work on the prep for your November. So those are kind of the three close things. And then the farther reaching is, here, hold on, is to work on your next year of promotion. So what does your marketing look like? What are the best times to connect with teachers? What is the best times for counselors? What's the best times for, who else is stressed in the system is the custodians. So, I mean, and they don't have a voice anywhere because they are often working when no one else is around, right?
You just went dark on me. There you are. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if they would have the budget to purchase or not, but
Yeah, well, they're also unionized, so they're also paid through the school board. So they may or may the school board certainly does not want the custodians to go off because they don't have a huge amount of them. And then if you lose one, there's custodian working time. They're already they have them there till 10 o'clock at night, and they only have two people on, and one person. I know this because I have two very close friends who are custodians, and she went off on. She had to get surgery done for tendonitis in one of her hands because of the work that she's doing. But the stress of having to leave is, or get stuff done, or have someone else take over when other people go away, and then she's taking over extra. That there's a large requirement to look after not just the buildings themselves, but the people inside the buildings. Often they have to be aware. She goes, I'm almost like a counselor inside the school. I've got students that'll come to me that won't go to anyone else in the school. So they have their own challenges inside the school, and that might be of value too. And they may be more willing. It's funny because sometimes the people who have less buy-in or seem to have less money or less money implemented into them are more likely to pay to have that work done for them.
okay.
Because
Seems logical, yeah.
Yeah, well, they have to get the work done, and they know no one else is going to pay for it. And so they may pay for it. Now, if they have great coverage, they may not pay for it either, because as soon as you give them great coverage, it's like everything should be free. Everything should be free. Someone should be covering this, right?
That's one of the issues throughout the whole education system is it should be paid for by somebody else, and I should get time off work to do it.
Yeah. But the custodians don't expect time off because they work all summer. So they work like all 12 months of the year, and they get their vacations, but they're not expecting time off to learn something or be better. They're looking at investing. So they may be, because they're also in the school system, may be a relevant one. There's the ECE teachers, which would have their own kind of expectation, or people who want to get into different levels. So people who are looking at going up into vice president or vice principal and principal as teachers. So you can have people so you have a variety of different types of groups you can have, which I know you've thought of because you bought the domains for them. But when you're talking to them, don't exclude people because you think that they may not be of value or they may not pay. Assume someone wants to pay for it.
Yeah, that's always been a personal issue is assuming people don't want to pay. Because ultimately I tend to be a bit cheap and I project that to others.
Yeah. But you have paid.
Though frequently and not always for good value.
Okay.
I've probably put 12,000 into coaching in the last 3 years. Coaching training, so.
So you're willing to invest in yourself, and you've had not a great experience. So you're maybe that's what you're projecting, is that you're afraid that you're not going to give someone a great experience.
I think that's part of the issue, and I mean that's one of the common objections we're supposed to overcome when selling these things. And the last round, I guess, was, wow, when I say that, it's probably closer to 18,000. The last round was about 6,000, and it was specifically a business coach, but I spent most of the time tapping around attitudes around money, which was not what I thought I was getting. I thought I was getting some fairly specific instruction. Prior to that, I worked with David Newman, who is probably one of the best in the business when it comes to marketing and sales. But I think it was really outbound, over the top American versus conservative Canadian approach. And things that he would suggest didn't always resonate with me that I could do well.
Mm-hmm.
And part of the loss with him, I could have done a lot better with David, I think, but part of the loss with him, I was hospitalized 3 times during the programs for this damn drug reaction I had. And when I wasn't in the hospital, I was a long way from peak. I still go back and refer to some of the notes of that. I think what David provided was fantastic value.
Mm-hmm.
And he reminded me frequently I didn't need more information, I needed more implementation.
Yes. Yeah. And I was thinking of, I wasn't thinking that specifically, but I was thinking the fact that you actually obviously have good understanding of how to do the marketing. So because you said right off the bat, you said, oh, I did some Twitter ads, and you knew exactly how to evaluate them. You knew what the metrics were. You knew how, and a lot of people have no idea. And so I'm thinking, okay, well, you clearly understand how to do the marketing. It's just a matter of figuring out what your schedule looks like and what you're trying to feed it into. So you're always asking the same thing. You know, let's have a talk because you need to be in a mastermind. Let's have a talk because you need to be in a mastermind. Let's have a conversation, right?
Well, some of the words you just put in there have been part of my biggest problem. So it's always the same. Is a lot of it I change almost each time, and no metric to know which is working. Been studying Russell Brunson's funnels again lately, and realize that some of the most subtle of differences, the color of a button, the differences it can make. So yeah, I spend a lot of time understanding marketing, very little time implementing it.
Yeah.
And I think part of this is quite honestly, I get nervous with a sales call and just blurt stupid, for lack of a better way of putting that. It's one of those very few things in life I haven't found comfort in. I have been in politics, and I could sell policy, I could sell me, I could get elected, I can do all of those kinds of things. But actually making a sales call, but even in the process of getting elected, I had a hell of a time phoning people and say, look, I need you in my campaign. That I just figure, well, no, another 3 hours a day, I can do that too, and carried on. So that I found that easier than making the calls. The telephone and I have never been friends. I guess the good news was with trying to phone teachers in July, I found a certain comfort in thinking, well, they're not going to answer anyway, so it doesn't matter, call.
Oh, wow, okay.
And when they did answer, I found them to be such a pleasant group of people, it didn't matter. So
yeah, because they're all relaxed at that by July. They are. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so checking our time here. Okay,
I think we're probably over it. Yeah, sorry.
Well, no, I think we're on a 45-minute call today, aren't we?